Thank you for joining me. My name is Gregory Morgan. The name of the show is Love Talk, and we're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about what it is that most people are really confused about, and yet we are completely infused with. We are completely infused with love. You've never been out of love. You can't run out of love. You can be disconnected from your ability to experience love. You can be separated from your personal experience of loving and being loved. And so, as a matter of fact, most people are disconnected from that. And so they spend their lifetime trying to find some love or get some love from somebody else. And rather than discovering love within themselves, they go trying to get some love so that they can feel better about themselves. If somebody else would love them, then maybe they could love themselves. And so you may be like that. You may know someone's like that. But those kind of relationships are called codependent relationships, and they never work out. They work for a while because there's always one who is superior to the other, or at least takes the superior position. And then there's the other one who always takes a subverted or a secondary position that empowers the first one. So codependent relationships never really work out in the end. They don't bring you any happiness or any joy or full satisfaction or self-expression. In fact, you never really get to know who you really are. And so consequently, they end up diminishing rapidly, and over the years they become divorced or non-existent. So is this a call that's on line one? So we're going to go ahead and take a call. Thanks for calling. Good evening. This is Gregory. You are live on the air with Love Talk.
Hi.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
A question about a relationship that I'm currently in.
Okay.
So I've been with this guy for almost 2 years. He's a great guy, all-around good guy, very good soul, treats me right, kind-hearted, generous, those things.
Okay. A lot of good qualities.
Absolutely. However...
Yeah, there's a yeah, but somewhere.
He's lacking in the financial status.
So lacking in the financial status is a very nice and gentle way of saying he didn't have enough money for you.
Right. I would think, well...
I mean, you might as well be honest about it. You know, it's okay. Listen, you should have a high standard for yourself.
Right. I understand that it's so hard to find like him, as nurturing as he is. You know, so I'm having a dilemma about whether to stay and see what the next brings, or whether to losses and,
yeah.
You know.
So this is great, and I'm so glad you're asking this question, because you must know that there are thousands of women who are in the same position, right? These days, you know, and it's been this way for a long time, women are educated and self-supporting, and I assume that you are.
Yes.
Right? So you have your own career, or do you have a job?
Yes. Yes. Well, I do have a job, yes.
Okay, so it's not like you're a business owner or something like that, but you work for another business owner and you make a good salary?
Fairly. I'm not six figures, but...
Okay, but you do well for yourself.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean you want to support a husband.
No, I don't know if it will be supporting a husband. He's very ambitious about becoming an attorney. He's taken the bar many times without
passing.
He was close last time, just a few points away, but even if you're a point away, they won't pass you. So that's kind of been his focus all his life.
How old is he now?
He's 45.
And you are?
39.
Let's just talk business, okay? Just put your business hat on for a minute.
Okay.
All right, because there are resources. You have a resource. I'm going to say that, I'm going to assume if you're watching this show, you're a Persian woman, and if you're a Persian woman, you're probably pretty good looking.
I'm okay.
Okay. And you're probably pretty smart. Judging from that, I'm going to make some assumptions. And so this good-looking smartness is another way of saying that is grace and beauty. Grace, beauty, intelligence. That is a resource. And the Greeks called it pogratitude. The The power of grace and beauty. It has a power. You have the power to influence situations and things that a lesser good-looking and lesser intelligent and lesser resourceful person might not. So it is a powerful resource. So it's like God gave you a trust account, okay?
Okay.
And you use it or you lose it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that trust account runs out in your 40s.
Yes, and I'm...
Okay, it runs out. Your fertility runs out. Your viability as a young, vivacious, girlish woman begins to diminish somewhat. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, I know 50 women who are in their 50s who are just totally dazzlingly good looking and alive and flirty and delicious. Okay, so don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean that you can't be, but your marketability, okay, I said we're going to talk business, right? Your marketability is diminished after 40.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just say it like it is. So, you don't have time to waste anymore. All right? You did 10 years ago, but you don't now. You just don't have time to waste on whether or not a guy is going to be qualified. And we're going to talk about what the qualifications for marriage are in a minute. But right now I'm talking about you because you're the one making the call, right? You're the one reaching out for help. So, in terms of investing this pulchritude, this precious resource that you have, not to mention whatever degrees you have and whatever money you've got in the bank, okay, you're making an investment of your precious time, energy, beauty, and grace. Do you want to rent or buy? If you were going to buy a house or purchase a house, you're looking for your future, like where you're going to live, right?
Yes.
You want to buy or rent?
I would prefer to buy.
Right. I would think so too. So if you were going to buy a house and you were going to spend your entire life savings on it, right, and the next years of your life on it, it would have to have certain qualifications, wouldn't it?
Yes, of course.
And if it did, so if you might need to be in a certain neighborhood, and it might have to have a certain number of bedrooms, and it might have to be within a certain price range, and so forth, right? But you would have a list of qualifications, and if you were looking through the housing projects, the housing market, if they did not fit your criteria, you would simply eliminate them. You wouldn't go see those houses,
right?
Right? Unless you want to get involved in renovation, you want a fixer-upper. Do you want a fixer-upper? Or do you want to just move in and get going with your life, right?
Yes, I'd rather the latter.
And make it your own. So, in terms of a relationship, okay, do you want a fixer-upper? Do you want to rent? In other words, I'm sorry, but this man who sounds like a wonderful guy, I'm sure I'd like him a lot, may not be qualified to be married. And he does not have a track record that shows that he's going to get qualified anytime soon. Now, that's just the facts, okay? If I was hiring the guy, I would have to look at that fact, right? Mm-hmm. And certainly if I was going to invest my life savings with him, I would look at that fact and I would take it into strong consideration.
Right.
Okay? Does he have a track record? In other words, listen, he could have been a millionaire and, went belly up in the housing market or something like that, and now he's working his way back up. At least he has a track record of having made a bunch of money, right?
Yeah, no, he doesn't have a track record.
Right.
He's worked all throughout his life and, handled his way.
Yeah, well, he's supported himself. But here's the thing. Now I said we will talk about qualifications for marriage. A man, in order to marry a high-quality, high-status woman, okay?
Yeah.
Cheap women are a dime a dozen, okay? You can get all those you want, and you don't have to marry them, okay? We're not talking about that, are we? We're talking about marrying a high-quality woman. That's an investment. And you have to be able to afford it, okay? Because marriage is a business deal. If you guys just want to love each other and make love and just be together and be partners and have no commitment, just do that as long as you want, right?
As in not getting married.
As in just living together and being boyfriend and girlfriend, but you've got your money and he's got his, and you have no real future together that you've created consciously. You do have a future together, but you're not consciously creating it and causing it, right?
Yeah, the thing is, though, I don't care to have children.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
He's okay with that. But I don't know why, given that, I want marriage. I want marriage, but I don't want kids.
That's okay. Listen, I understand. Listen, I want marriage. I am married. I don't have kids, and I don't want them. Okay? Because I have other things to do with my life besides raise kids who may end up hating me anyhow. Right?
Yeah, no, I mean...
I may have to go get them out of jail or the hospital, or any number of things could happen to them. I've got other things that I said I would do by the end of my life, and I'm very busy doing them. And, if I had kids right now, either I wouldn't be doing the things that I said I was going to do with my life, or I'd be trying to do that, and my kids would probably hate me because I wouldn't be around.
Yeah, so that's my dilemma.
What's the dilemma? Listen, what I'm saying is that it doesn't sound like the man that you care for, obviously, is qualified for marriage. You want to be married. Why? Because women, men too, women more than men, obviously, want to feel that they belong with someone and that they are that's their person, and you're with someone that belongs with you, and that's going to be that way. And so then you can begin to plan a longer future. Women are more futuristic in their vision, have a more long-range vision of life. And, that's natural. That's given to you genetically and biologically as well because of your ability to produce life, whether you do or not. You look out into the future and you see how you want things to turn out, and you plan for that. And so that's normal that you would want to have that with a single mate, a monogamous mate. And so I don't blame you for that. But, marriage is a business deal. It means signing papers together that involve banking and real estate and taxes and finances and families and religions and, educational programs and all kinds of stuff, right? Car insurance, all these things it's a legal business deal. It's an establishment. A marriage is an establishment, like a business.
Right.
Right? The love part almost has very little to do with that. I mean, it's good. I mean, it's important, but the structure almost overwhelms the internal feeling of it sometimes, doesn't it? I mean, there's so many things to do, especially if you have kids, take care of the kids and take them to school and practice and all this stuff, that the marriage sometimes overrides the personal, emotional affection and connection that people have. The heartfelt soul connection that people have sometimes gets lost in all the machinery of a marriage.
Yeah. The thing is, you just said it. I have a soul connection with this guy.
Mm-hmm. You have a responsibility to yourself first. You can't give to others what you can't give to yourself. So you need to respect your own life, and you also need to respect your own choosing. Well, here's an interesting thing that I've been teaching people for a while. People kind of fall into two categories when it comes to relationship. I'm going to call them heart people and money people, okay? There's heart people and there's money people, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? There are money people who, they get married for money. The money's good. They have a good relationship. He gives her what she needs. He gets whatever he needs somehow, and it's fine, and life goes on. And maybe they develop a heart connection during that years together, and maybe they don't, okay? But life goes on, and it's fine, you see? And then there's heart people who just love each other, and it's like, even if we have to live in a tent, I'm with you, right? Mm-hmm. No matter what happens, whether rich or poor, all that, we all say that during the wedding ceremony, richer or poorer, for better or worse, but nobody actually really thinks about what they're saying and promising and making a sacred vow about. But that's what that vow means. Means even if you get sick and poor, I am going to stay with you and love you and give you my loyalty and my love. That's what I'm promising to do. Okay? Now, there's heart people who marry for the love. Now, if a heart person and a money person gets together, there's problems. You see what I'm saying? Can you see how that would be a problem?
The thing is, I don't consider myself a money person.
Well, that's where we get to the point of the lesson. The point of the lesson is men feel loved when they feel respected. Okay? Men feel loved when they feel respected, and it's vitally important to them that they be appreciated in multiple ways, verbally, non-verbally, physically, financially, many ways, be shown appreciation for what they provide for women and children, and for the world in general, okay? Men want to provide, they love to provide, and they just need to be acknowledged for it sometimes, you know? They need to be thanked, they need to be appreciated, they need to be respected. And they feel loved when that's happening. And whether or not they feel the warm, fuzzy love, some people feel they feel loved because they're respected for what they've done. Women feel loved when they are taken care of emotionally, in your case, and financially.
Right.
Now, most women want to be taken care of, and I don't blame you, and you certainly deserve to go for it. Most people want to be taken care of emotionally and financially. That sounds like a pretty good deal to me, and I can't blame anybody for wanting that. I think you ought to have that. However, most men are not mentally, emotionally, psychically, and sometimes financially capable or prepared to do both. Do you see what I'm saying? In other words, to go make enough money to provide for you or her financially in the way that she deserves, he has to go out and compete for that dollar, compete for that position, compete for that job every day with guys who are younger, smarter, faster, who are up at the gym at 5:30 in the morning getting in shape or running around the track and ready to take that guy's job, take that same dollar that he's out there for, you see? Now, that takes something for a man. And no matter how young and smart and rich and everything you are, or how confident you act, all men have a hidden fear that they're not man enough, not good enough, not strong enough, fast enough, smart enough, rich enough, whatever enough, right? All men harbor this fears about am I man enough for her or even for myself or for the world. So if you have a guy who is a money guy and his deal is, I'm going to go get you all the money I'm going to give all my money to you. And you take care of you the best I can, and I'm going to go get a lot of it and just keep giving it to you, right? That guy may not be very emotionally prepared to take care of you emotionally. You may spend some nights alone. You may be, waiting for him to come home, but he's just disconnected when he gets there, and he doesn't feel like being in a soul connection. He just wants to get it together for the next day. You see?
Exactly.
So a financially successful guy isn't always emotionally available, and that's just a fact of life, okay? It doesn't mean he can't be or he will never be. It takes a lot of maturity to become financially successful and emotionally available. That means that he will sit and listen to you all night long, hold you in his arms while you cry or go through any kind of emotional things that you're going through or upsets, or if you're upset with him, he'll sit and talk with you until it's complete and you're both restored back to a place of love. That is exhausting for a man. Okay?
Yeah.
And so you may have a guy who's emotionally taking care of you and he'll do whatever it takes to make sure you're well emotionally, but he may sleep on the couch till noon.
Oh, no.
No, he may not be able to he may just not have the edge it takes to compete. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
So here's my lesson to women. Choose one. Choose one. To be either emotionally or financially taken care of. You may get both eventually, but you may not.
Right.
So I say choose one and go with it. He may never have any money, but he may be the best partner you ever found.
Yeah.
But he may not ever have a lot of money, and that just may be, that's how, I'm not saying it will, I'm just saying that may be how it turns out.
Right.
He may fail the bar 5 more times, but he'll stay up with you and care with you. And
no, but I mean, he's working, he's making income, and I can perhaps maybe share life in that, either 50-50, 70-30, or what have you.
Right.
That's always an option. Again, because one, I think my age is there, and I don't want kids. So I think the pool of men for me would be
narrower, but not necessarily. Hey, listen, there's a lot of 50-year-old guys out there looking for girls like you.
50-year-old guys. Yeah.
Well, 40s, 50s. Guys in your age group have either never been married, and there's a reason for that, been married and had kids, or been married and divorced. I'm willing to bet that regardless of where you are, I don't know what part of the country you're in, regardless of where you are, I bet you if you drew a circle on the map of a 50-mile radius, there would be probably 1,000 guys within that circle who are looking for a good-looking, under 40s woman with her own money, her own career, and that doesn't want to have kids.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? There must be 1,000 guys looking for you.
I hope that is. I hope.
You know, and some of them are not qualified to be married either. Okay. I didn't say that just because they're looking for you, they have enough money for you, or that they, you know, or that they're the right, whatever, character or ethnicity or whatever it is that you require. There must be a bunch of them. I understand. I'm sure he makes some money and supports himself. However, you know, how's that going to look 10 years from now?
Right. Like I said, it's only if I say, okay, let's go in this 50-50 and make this work together. I mean, that's...
And listen, that's a perfectly valid type of marriage. I'll talk about 3 different kinds of marriages that I've identified anyhow, that I see. One is the codependent one, where one person's the 100%. They're the powerful one, and one's a 0. Okay. One does everything to make sure that the other one stays powerful. You don't want that. Those have a lifespan, and it's not very long, and it turns out miserably. Then there's ticks. 2 incomes, no kids.
Okay.
2 incomes, no kids. It's a 50-50 relationship where you kind of you share, you split everything, right?
And how do those?
Well, it's a business deal, right? You pay the DWP bill was, $300 this month. So where's your $150 check? It's just so anti-romantic that is kind of weird, right? You go to the restaurant and, well, I paid last time. It's a little strange. It wouldn't suit me very much, but it's a 50-50 deal, and it's a business deal. And hey, it's two incomes, no kids, and it's a partnership. Hey, you're in it together. You share the house, you share the bills. As long as each person keeps their end of the deal, it's a pretty good deal. Okay? Now, if marriages only survive about 49% of the time, business partnerships, I think it's something more like about 18% of business partnerships last a long time. Business partnerships have a high failure rate, if you will, in the 80s. Okay? 80% of business partnerships fail because one of the partners doesn't keep their end of the deal. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, another category, business partners that are also married.
Yeah.
About 6% of those survive. Okay? So the chances of a business partnership where the people are married and they stay married and the business partnership stays viable and it's successful, meaning it makes money, and the people prosper because they're happy and love each other, that's very rare. It's just rare. It's not impossible. It's just that, you need to know what you're signing up for. So a 50-50 marriage could last a lifetime. It could last a lifetime. It doesn't necessarily mean that soul connection that you have will survive if one of you is not able to produce enough money and keep their end of the deal. You will be measuring. Right now, you already measured and said you make a little more money than him.
No, he does.
He makes a little more money than you. Okay, I would prefer to have it that way, and I'm sure you would too. The main reason for a man to produce more money than a woman is so that if and when she got pregnant and became vulnerable and needed to spend time with a child who, for God's sakes, if you're going to bring a child in the world, at least spend the first 4 years of their life with them, right? Every day, right? Yeah. That's like, you owe it to them for that, right? If you're going to bring somebody in the world, take care of them for at least the first 4 or 5 years of their life, because they're formulating a brain and they need you. They need their mother. But if you're not going to do that, then, okay, I said I would talk about 3 kinds of marriage. The third kind is called a covenant. And it is a commitment that is not necessarily equal, but it is a sacred vow and a commitment to do whatever it takes to cause the prospering and the ongoing growth and development of the other, meaning each other. Okay? It is, you're with each other not because you need to be, but because you can afford to be. That's you make a sacred vow. You say, I'm going to take care of you for the rest of your life and give you all of my love and energy and sexuality, and everything is all going to be for you. You and me. And that's it. Okay. And I promise that and that's a sacred vow. And if ever I forget or fail at that, please remind me so that I can recommit to that.
Yeah.
Right? That's a covenant. And in a covenant, generally it works better if the man makes more money than the woman for the pregnancy reason I talked about. But other than that, if you have a covenant, it doesn't matter. You could be two different religions. It doesn't matter. You know, you could have two totally different careers that are one could have a career and the other one not, or one could be rich and famous and the other one just there. It doesn't matter. If you have a covenant, what's mattering is that covenant, you see.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are very successful. Maybe one of the partners is a celebrity or something, and yet they're so committed to each other that even though there's an apparent disconnect or an imbalance or difference in the power if one wields over the other, it doesn't matter because it's balanced out in the sacred vows and the commitment that they have for each other. I'm hearing that you want a covenant. It sounds like something because that's really a heartfelt, loving thing. And business gets taken care of, right?
Yeah.
Inside of that greater commitment to be for each other and prospering each other for the rest of your life, a lot of stuff can get taken care of inside of that commitment, inside of that house. But the 50-50 house, all it takes is for one of the partners to fall down and not keep their end of the deal, and then all of a sudden that thing starts sliding sideways. Then what do you count on that would balance it again? It's kind of hard to, if you're both rowing the boat and one stops rowing, the boat starts going in circles.
What do you think about just mating and not becoming legal on paper, not getting married? What are your...
I don't have a problem with that. Certainly don't have any moral judgments or anything like that about it. It tends to work out better for the man than the woman. That's a man's game. As long as a man is halfway decent and halfway good looking and has some money, he can pretty much always get a woman. Okay?
True.
Now, I can't say the same is true for women. You can be good looking and have money and be a wonderful person. And I see lots of single women out there looking for men. And then the older they get, the kind of sadder that feels to them, and there's a little sense of desperation there. Whereas men, they're cool. They could be 50, 60, get 20 and 30-year-olds as long as they're halfway decent looking and got some money and they're nice people. It's not a fair game.
Not at all.
It's not a fair game. Domestic partnerships, okay, as long as property and things like that. I'm concerned about the business deal part of it. If you guys are going to live together and share property and something, that property's got to be in somebody's name, and somebody's on the hook for it, even if the other one splits and doesn't pay their end of the deal, right? So it's the business deal part of it that I think being married is a better deal because then there's some equality there that's at least judiciary, if not foodiciary.
I think I do agree, actually.
No, getting married is a very good deal, and it's good. Statistics show it's an even better deal for men, believe it or not. And it's not that it's a better deal for all the reasons you would normally think, but here's some more statistics today. Rattling off numbers. 80% of all the money that's made in the whole world is made by married men. The other 20% is made by unmarried men and women. So I think that statistic alone shows that being married has men prosper. And, you could interpret it a lot of ways. You could say, well, the men that are prosperous get married, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think that there's pretty good evidence for the old saying that behind every successful man is a woman, standing behind or alongside him, men do better for longer periods of time and exponentially earn more money than unmarried men and women as a whole. The other statistic I'll throw out there is that after divorce, if men are more likely to get married after divorce than women are, and usually within the first 2 years, and if in the first 2 years they haven't remarried, there is a large statistic of men dying, either through suicide, which is part of it, but also men tend to do crazier stuff like drive while they're drinking or go mountain climbing or parachuting or something that gets them killed anyhow. Do you know what I mean? Whereas married men don't do that stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not that they don't, but I mean, they're less likely to die while doing it because they got a wife and kids. Like the highest statistic in men's getting killed either accidentally or on purpose is amongst divorced men.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm saying that when I say that marriage is a good deal for men,
it really is.
I think it is.
Yeah.
They're more prosperous and less likely to die.
Yeah.
And they live longer.
There you go. Yeah.
So I think it's a good deal for you too, but I just I hope that you will find a man that will both take care of you financially and emotionally. And, again, I come back to what I previously said, choose one, okay? Choose one. And you might get both, but be willing to not have the other as long as you get the one that's really important to you. And so if that's possible for me, then it must be possible for anybody, right? To have all the things that you want and desire in your life. But you need to be a good, strategic business person as well while you're at it. And I'm putting everything on that business deal because marriage is, it's an arrangement. It involves finances. It involves all those things we said. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Do you know where to go from here?
Help me, yes.
Sort out some things, maybe get some clarity?
Yes, it has.
Great. Well, hey, thank you for calling me. Thanks for your trust.
Thank you so much.
And let me know how it turns out.
Will do. Thank you a lot.
Thanks.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Good day. Yeah. Bye-bye. All of the challenges and confrontations that you have in your life that are painful emotionally, mentally, psychologically, are due to one of two things. One, sometimes both, but usually one or the other of these two things. And they both start with P. Perception, in other words, how you're seeing it, how you're perceiving that situation, that circumstance, the context in which you are seeing and holding life is faulty. So you need to change or correct your perspective. So that's the perspective part. How you see things will influence how you experience them. It will influence your experience of life, and your experience of life is all you have, period. Think about it. There's nothing outside of your experience of life. If you're not experiencing it, it doesn't exist for you. So you only have life as an experience. And if you want to upgrade your experience of life, one of the things that you might need to do is change your perspective, or the other P, your process, how you're processing things. In other words, your procedure. How are you proceeding with life? Some people have something come up and it totally throws that circumstance that totally throws their life into a tailspin and becomes very destructive, may be nothing to another person. Now, why is that? Why is it that something that may be totally knocked you off your center to another person it'd be like a little bump in their road? Why? Because they have a way of proceeding with that situation, with that challenge, with that process that is different from yours. They're more capable of handling it. Great. So, I took tennis lessons for a while, okay? Now, me, if you fired a ball over the net at me at 100 miles an hour, it would go right by me. I don't have the process for getting that ball back over the net. Now, I might accidentally do it, but I don't know if I could keep repeating it and do it every time. But my tennis coach, if you fire a 100-mile-an-hour ball over the net at him, it looks so easy. It's like it's nothing to him, okay? Why? Because he has a different procedure and a different perception. He's seeing it and he's proceeding to deal with the same thing, the same 100-mile-an-hour ball, but in a more effective manner. So it's like fun. Whereas for me, it's not fun. Okay, so talking with me is about changing your perspective and your procedure so that you can have more fun, self-fulfillment, vitality in life. Let's take this call. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air with Love Talk.
Oh, hello, Gregory. Thank you for your show.
My pleasure.
I'm calling from London.
Very nice. And so's your accent.
Thank you. I'm calling because I wanted to ask you about a brother who is coming out of a 16-year relationship. He's been with his girlfriend from the age of 16, and he's almost 30 now.
Okay.
They lived together for about a year or two. My question is, as his sister, how can I kind of support him? Obviously, it's very difficult having been with for so long. How can I support him in kind of moving on from the relationship?
That's great. Thanks for being a concerned sister. With a man who's in his 30s, he's a man. Even though he may still have some boyish parts of him, the best thing you can do with a man is to treat him like a man, okay? So that means don't baby him, don't coddle him, don't mother him. I'm telling you things not to do. You ask me what to do. I'll tell you that in a minute. But the first things that most people want to do, and particularly I understand a sister who loves her brother would want to, help him feel better, right?
Yeah.
Of course. Natural. Okay? But I'm saying that the best thing you could do with him is to stand with him, alongside him. In other words, to stand shoulder to shoulder with him so that while he's in his pain and doubt and confusion, that he experiences that there is another witness, another person standing alongside him who is experiencing it with him. Nothing makes experience disappear so fast as to share it with another. Interesting, huh?
Yeah, but then the question is, how do you share that experience with somebody?
You just get it. In other words, sometimes he might want to cry, so just let him cry. Just don't try to make him stop crying. Don't pet him and say, "Oh, it's all right, it's going to be okay." Don't do that either. That's coddling and babying, okay? Don't give him Kleenexes and make sure that he doesn't get any snot on his face. Don't do that. Let a man cry. A man should cry, and when it's time to cry, he should just cry. As hard and as messy as he needs to until he's done. I promise you, it will go away if you allow it.
How long does it take?
Well, no one can answer that question, okay? I don't know how deeply involved they were. I don't know if she slept with his best friend or stabbed him in the back or stole all his money. I don't know what he's got to get over.
No, I think she just fell out of love with him.
All right. Well, okay. I don't know how long something like that takes. I can tell you that when somebody's been married for a number of years, but they weren't, and they may have been living together, but they weren't married, and that's a very different thing. And you said they lived together for 1 year?
About a year.
That's a bump in the road. It's a bump in the road, okay? He may have been with her since he was 16. Is that the only girl he's ever been with?
Yeah.
So here's the thing that you need to know about your brother. He will be emotionally immature when it comes to how to date, how to meet girls, things like that. He'll have a young man's way of doing it. Do you know what I mean? He would just be like, an 18-year-old, and that can be very vulnerable feeling, especially when you're talking to a woman in her late 20s or early 30s like he would be, right? And that's why a lot of men go for much, much younger girls, because then at least they're on the same emotional par with them. Do you see what I'm saying? But you're saying, how can I support him? Is he working? Does he have a job? Does he have money? Does he have a place to live? Does he have friends?
Yeah, he's got his own place. He works. He goes to the gym. He's got his friends, both guy friends and girlfriends.
Okay.
Obviously, he's got his family. I don't know. I assume my role as a sister is different to my parents' role and how they should be supporting him. It would probably be different. I don't know.
Well, I want to tell you something. People have a tendency, especially when they're vulnerable or in pain, to unconsciously act as expected, if you will. So, if you're all like, oh, you must be in so much pain and, like that, then there's a tendency to sort of go into that, right?
Okay.
To sort of slide into that and go, yeah,
Yeah,
and indulge in that. But, the best thing that my friends did with me, it was like, all right, man, what do you need? They asked me, my buddies, right? They just asked me, what do you need? Real straight question, right? Very masculine, straight question. What do you need, man? I said, well, at the time I said I need a drink. And, I probably just need to bitch and complain and moan a little bit. And it's good just to have you guys with me, and they would just sit there and listen to everything I said. I would just say all this stuff that I needed to say. Anything else that you need to say? Yeah, and this and that and that. And okay, is there anything that you learned from this? And what's the lesson? What could you take away from that? So in that way, they weren't coaching me or giving me advice. They weren't coddling me or encouraging me to be an alcoholic or anything like that. They were just like, here, have a shot and let's talk about this, right? And I don't even want to put that in the space. Maybe your brother doesn't drink at all or anything. I'm just saying that helped me.
Yeah.
Okay? That helped me. I wasn't alone, sitting in my apartment, being miserable about it. And I wasn't out partying and acting like a fool either. I was with some solid friends who just heard me. And I can tell you that that's the key to empathy and compassion. That's what makes it so powerful, is that it doesn't mean you get down in the hole with them. If somebody's sort of down under the surface of the earth and, suffering, it doesn't mean you go down in there and suffer with them.
Yeah. But
you do go there and stand strong with them. So the best thing you could say is, this is all going to work out. This is going to be fine. A month from now or 3 weeks from now, whatever, this will pass. And you know what? That's the truth. It will pass. So you're not just being encouraging, you're just telling the truth. Okay? The biggest rainstorm, thunder shower, everything, sooner or later it passes, right?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, and emotions and things like this are like the weather. They come and they go. There's a time when they weren't there, then all of a sudden they're there, and it's horrible, and it looks like it'll never end, but it does. And then you look back and go, wow, that's over now. Right? And this will be too. Well, that's the only thing I know that ever actually works, is that when you actually get, hey, I'm responsible for everything that happens in my life. I'm responsible for my life. Whether I understand it or not, I don't have to understand that. It's a stand that I take. I'm standing for, I'm saying and declaring with no logical support, no other outside validation. I don't need the Pope or anybody else to tell me that I'm responsible for my life, because I said so. That's the only thing I need. My word is strong enough. And if I say I'm responsible for my life, that means that even the painful things that people have done to me, it happened on my watch. Do I want them to be responsible for my life? No, I don't think so. I'll be. It's a privilege. But many people take the words take responsibility like burden yourself with blame. No, that's not what it means. It means I'm standing for somehow or another, whether I understand it or not. I caused that. I'm the source of that. And that means that that's very good news, actually, because that means if I could cause this person who I cared for to go away and leave me, this sort of apparently negative thing, that, I can take charge of the meaning and say, that means I can cause an even greater person to come into my life, and next time I'll know how to take care of them or to be with them, or how to choose somebody that will stay. What's the lesson to be learned, so that next time that beautiful girl comes along and you want to move in with her, what are you going to do now? What's going to be different? Are you just going to keep repeating the same lesson? In other words, learn the lesson and you don't ever have to repeat it again. Life will not make you repeat the same lesson over and over if you learn it. That's one of the fair things about the universe. You learn your lesson, you don't have to keep doing it. You may have that lesson come your way, but because you're responsible, you say, wait a minute, I already know this one. I've seen this before. I ain't going there. Now, they're telling me that my show time is up, so I kind of have to move. I have to move on.
Okay.
Yeah. So I hope this helped. Just treat him like a man. Don't baby and coddle him. And the last thing I would say is, many people get confused when somebody's crying. They want to go hug them and pat them on the back. That's called anchoring. And it actually anchors the central nervous system, the subconscious mind. It anchors this bad experience, which is crying is meant to be purging of toxic energy, and it anchors it with a good experience. You see what I mean? So then the good and bad get associated together. It's not a good thing. I don't anchor people. When they're crying, I let them cry. Cry it all out. Then I'll give you a tissue and pat you on the back, but not right now. Okay? Now, that's just a little clue. Most people don't know that one, but mostly when people are crying, if they come and throw themselves on your shoulder and want to cry, don't push them away, obviously, but don't go try to get them to stop crying and feel good. Do you know what I mean? Let them cry. That way it gets complete and it doesn't come back. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks again. Bye-bye. All right, well, that's the end of the show. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week.